Welcome to the first video of this series on the new European Artificial Intelligence Regulatory Framework. In today's video, I will introduce you to the content of the proposal for regulation of the European Parliament and of the Council, laying down harmonized rules on artificial intelligence, also referred to as the Artificial Intelligence Act. Briefly on the context of this act before we move on to today's topic. This act is part of the EU ordinary legislative process, and it is the expression of the European Union's strong intent of being one of the key players in the field of new technologies. It is the most recent act of the EU's political plan on artificial intelligence, which first started with the white paper on artificial intelligence that was delivered by the Commission. The draft regulation, and I will refer to it throughout this video as the AI Act or regulation from now on, is undergoing consultation, and therefore it is not a definitive piece of legislation. Now, moving on to the topic of this video, I will first tackle 4 topics. First, the scope, the purpose, and the general definitions that are provided for in the Act, namely in Title 1 of the AI Act. I will give you some notions on the risk-based approach that is adopted by the European Union. I will then move on to explain the prohibited AI practice according to the Act, and then the definition of high-risk artificial intelligence systems. Now, the AI Act consists of harmonized rules that tackle the placement of AI systems in the market. It then comprises of the prohibitions of certain uses of AI systems, and then it moves on to establish a set of rules that are applicable to high-risk artificial intelligence systems. It provides for a set of transparency rules for AI systems that interact directly with human operators. And then it provides for rules regarding market monitoring and surveillance. Now, to whom will this regulation apply? First, it will apply to providers on the European market, providers of AI systems on the European market. It will be applicable to users of AI systems that are located in the European Union. It will also apply to providers and users of AI systems that are geographically located in a country outside of the EU, but which produce an output or use this output in the territory of the European Union. With regards to the definitions, as you know, defining artificial intelligence is controversial because there is, as of today, no universal agreement on what is meant by this term. The regulation that we're discussing today refers to artificial intelligence systems. So software that is developed with a set of techniques that are indicated in Annex number 1 to the regulation, and that can generate outputs such as content predictions, recommendations, following a given set of human-defined objectives. Notably, the definitions in the AI Act refers to AI systems, hinting then to the definition that was previously given by the high-level expert group on artificial intelligence set up by the European Commission, which also included AI systems components embedded in hardware. But this definition given in the AI Act does not comprehend hardware, only software. Article 3 of the draft then provides other 43 definitions that will be used throughout the Act, such as definition of the main operators of the market, the user, the provider, the authorized representative of the provider, the importer, and the distributor. Such subjects are all encompassed in the umbrella term of operator of AI systems. With regard to the second topic of this video, the risk-based approach. So it is known that the European Union for regulating artificial intelligence adopted a risk-based approach. But what do we mean by that? It means that the European Union recognizes that deploying AI systems in the market comes with certain inevitable risks for the rights of individuals, and has therefore developed a system of regulatory protections that are triggered only in certain situations that are defined by the act itself, the so-called high-risk artificial intelligence system applications. In this way, companies are able to evaluate beforehand their operational risks and pursue their interests accordingly. With regards to prohibited AI applications, Article 5 of the draft regulation lists a number of prohibited AI practices. So uses of artificial intelligence that represent an acceptable level of risk. Examples are systems that distort a person's behavior by exploiting his vulnerabilities, or the use of AI systems by public authorities for the evaluation or classification of trustworthiness of people whenever such practice has a potential negative impact on the person. These are the so-called social scoring practices. A lot of attention is given in Article 5 to biometric surveillance and identification. For this application, a number of exclusions is given. Hence, as some have said, the power of this ban is actually very dimmed, and this is raising strong concerns by the civil society. With regards to artificial intelligence high-risk applications, the draft regulation provides for a system of classification in Article 6. In order for an AI system to be classified as high risk and for the provisions of this regulation to apply, two conditions have to be fulfilled. First, the intended use of the AI system is to be a safety component of a product or to be itself a product that is covered by the legislation that is listed in Annex number 2 to the draft regulation. For example, the regulation on medical device. The second condition that has to be fulfilled is that if the intended use requirement, the one I just mentioned in number 1, is satisfied, the AI system is considered high risk if it has to undergo a third-party conformity assessment. For example, the assessment required to receive the CE marking. In addition, the regulation itself lists a set of AI system applications that are always considered as high risk in Annex number 3. The high risk areas that are mentioned in the Annex are 8, and for each area, the regulation specifies the requirements that have to be fulfilled. Such lists can be modified by the Commission following an assessment procedure that is explained in Article 7 of the draft. Now, the regulation only provides for a regulatory framework for such high-risk systems. These rules will be the object of our next video. I'm done for today, and I hope you enjoyed this video and that you will watch the next ones.